Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of None of Your Business, a weekly podcast bringing to you the commercial aspects of which affect the different walks of our life. Today, we have with us some of my friends from Class 9. We have Ananth, Alan, Arjun, Thariq, and Niharika, and Navamita. They are the six panelists who will be there with us today. And we were wondering about what we should be talking about today. And it was going on for a few days. So all of us were watching some of the new movies which are coming out in OTT platforms. And that's when we realized, why don't we take this up? We have seen the growth of OTT platforms all across this pandemic. I'm pretty sure there will be very few people remaining who are not aware of these OTT platforms. A new movie releases, it's on the OTT platform. You have web series which are on the OTT platforms, and there are many things. But the one most common name which I have been hearing when I have been teaching with my students or in other places is Netflix. Netflix is something which unfortunately I don't use much. I don't have subscription for Netflix, and that is something which has amazed me, the way they have grown this pandemic. And I was always curious to know what is Netflix. So in this context, maybe with these panelists
So,
who are with me today. Yes, Anand.
let me introduce Netflix to you.
Okay, great.
So, an introduction to Netflix. Netflix is an American over the top content platform and production company headquarters in Los Gatos, California. Netflix was founded in 1997 by Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph in Scotts Valley, California. So, Netflix is a subscription based streaming service that allows the members to watch TV shows and movies without commercials on an internet connected device. You can also download TV shows and movies to your iOS, Android, or Windows 10 device and watch without an internet connection. The monthly cost for Netflix in dollars is $8.99 for the basic subscription and $13.99 for the standard subscription. The content present in Netflix would be different in different regions. For example, you may get more shows and movies in UK than New Zealand. And Netflix remains the top choice for TV and movie streaming thanks to its ease of use, lack of commercials, and original content. Streaming shows and movies over the internet are the best way to watch TV, and Netflix is the best choice for streaming entertainment.
So this is something which everyone has been telling me. Netflix is the best choice for streaming entertainment content. But I don't understand how. I really don't understand how this Netflix is actually surviving. How are they actually making money by just putting up all this? I remember the times when I had to go out and maybe get previously in my childhood, you used to get this VCRs which we had to come home and play in the VCDs, where we just rent it out. And then came the advent of CDs, and then we had this online. We used to wait for maybe getting it on the torrent, and here comes something which just streams it to you for a minimal amount. As Anant, I do remember something maybe in Indian rupees. It comes to around 199 rupees for starting in your mobile edition for Netflix is the ads which I used to see. So it has kept me wondering, how do these guys make money? Or what is their business model? How do these guys, do any of you know that? How does Netflix
Yes,
create? Yes, Tariq,
yeah,
let me
the
know from your
business
side.
model of Netflix is basically a subscription based model. So, in this, the customers pay monthly installments or one solid payment for a year, and then they get video on demand, which means they can get series and movies as quick as that. The company is very profitable because it was one of the first ever sites to give video on demand, but it still runs on negative cash flow because the cash being paid for uh, content licensing and original content production.
Right. So that is a real critical point which you said there. Netflix, though it has millions of subscribers, they are having a negative cash flow because they are paying upfront for all their content and the production. So yes, they do tend to have a negative cash flow. But is this model relevant? Is this something which is here to stay, or is it that we're just seeing a certain bubble being formed, especially due to this pandemic crisis? What do you guys think about that? Is this something coming into that? Can someone maybe
Yes.
enlighten on that? Yes, Niharika.
So this model is actually, it's not based, Netflix isn't a company that's necessarily based on based on profits and costs. It's actually based on trying to get as many users hooked in. So, like Tariq mentioned, it runs on a negative cash flow. So they spend more than what they make in a period of time, and this model has been working fine because they've been able to get that as many users hooked in. So, as in 2017, Netflix revenue was about over 111 billion dollars, which is a staggering growth compared to just what it was in 2013 when the revenue passed $4 billion. So there has been a steady increase in revenue for this video streaming company over the years. And Netflix has more than 117,000 subscribers worldwide. So they've been able to expand quite vastly over a global level. As a span of 7 years, it has established its popularity in 190 countries across the world. So this is a very rapid growth, and it still stuns us. And unlike the other streaming platforms which run on premium subscriptions, there's no free option in Netflix. So members have to pay for the content they want to watch. So they get their profits in ways such as that. So Netflix has a huge variety of content, and it also provides reasonable pricing, which brings in more users every day.
Okay, so that was a pretty interesting. So that means it's a model here to stay because they're looking at a mass following through subscriptions. They're having a mass number of people coming into their revenue streams, which is kind of interesting. So it's not like they're targeting the niche market. They're just basically giving it to everyone. They're trying to ensure that Netflix will be there in each and every household in this planet, and which is kind of interesting, and it's really looking up to see how that happens. But considering that you have a lot of other OTT platforms there, with the presence of Amazon Prime, with the presence of, if you just take the Kerala market in India, we have had around 10 to 14 OTT platforms coming in this 2021. So how do you think this still Netflix stays relevant when even when the other platforms come in? Does anyone have maybe a query on that?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
Naumita.
I'm 100% sure that most of us here are kind of unloyal to Netflix. When I say unloyal, I mean that we don't necessarily rely on Netflix completely for content. We basically use alternative sites like YouTube, Amazon Prime, Hulu, and of course, the legal streaming sites. Although Netflix has a wide variety of content for us to choose from, it does not have everything. So we normally resort to going to other sites to watch what we want. As the years progress, new streaming sites are popping up and they seem to be so much better than Netflix. For example, HBO Max and Disney Plus. They are cheaper and they apparently also have better content. I mean, why pay full price for Netflix when you can stream content at a better price, considering the fact that Netflix does raise its price every now and then? Netflix is certainly right about their assumption of some people paying for more than one streaming service for the sake of differing exclusive and original content. However, more streaming services must also mean some watchers are closing down their Netflix accounts and signing up for other platforms, right? So, moreover, Netflix has turned to producing more of their own content because they can't afford to keep up titles forever. This has made many fan bases mad, which progressed them to actually cancel their subscription and move on to other sites. Even though Netflix has lost more than 400 subscribers in the United States and Canada in the most recent quarter of the year, Netflix is far ahead of the rest of the pack with nearly 208 million worldwide subscribers. Netflix still holds the title of being the number one streaming service.
Okay, thank you, Naumita, for enlightening all of us on that. So that's completely new information for me. Netflix is actually losing customers also, but still remaining on the top. And as you said, they're producing new content. But having said that, definitely like all the Marvel fans and all were discussing the release of the TV series of Marvel in Disney Plus. And you also have one coming up in August 11th, titled What If? So maybe Netflix can actually link in or collaborate with some of the major studios to create exclusive content for it. So we don't know what's the way forward for Netflix, but that's really good insight that Netflix is still the leading top OTT platform, even when there are hundreds of others close on its heels, and we have to wait and watch how long it goes along. But there were certain things which I picked up from some of my friends, and that was the fact that certain shows or web series are actually not shown in different countries. Is that the case? Isn't it that suppose I sign up for Netflix here in India and I'm moving tomorrow to, let's say, to US or some other country, does it mean that my shows are actually cut off? Is there a kind of restriction which is being placed on what I see when I move into certain countries? Does anyone have any idea about that? Or could you enlighten me and the other viewers and listeners on that?
So,
Yes, Arjun.
yes, in each country, Netflix offers different shows and movies, and your account will not work when moving between countries. This is
Okay.
because the laws of the stream only allow the content on your country. Several
Okay.
reasons why our show might not be viewable when crossing borders. This is due to the enforcement of the copyright and the royalties, as each country has different laws and regulations, and the properties
So,
of copying media content.
all right. So as you said, there are different regulations for different governments. Okay, and so I do understand that you do have certain partnerships which might not allow it to be to for the content to be streamed in some particular countries. All right. So that's more a bit to do with legal regulations. Thank you, Arjun, for that. It's more to do with legal regulations that Netflix has not been good. So I do get an understanding of that, and I hope all our listeners too have understood that we cannot see every content move to certain legal restrictions. Now, the biggest debate among parents and among teachers and those in the education sector is isn't too much of Netflix and maybe the other OTT platforms also. But now that we are talking about Netflix, isn't too much of Netflix actually going to cause more harm? Or for the students, that's definitely one. But are there actually any advantages of Netflix? Any advantages of having Netflix or just having that business model? Do you think?
Yes, there are advantages of Netflix.
Yes,
Netflix
Alan.
allows users to change the content in the standard and high quality, where there are limitations on the content that you can download. Viewers can download videos and watch them later even without no internet connections. And the disadvantages of Netflix are the limitation of regional selection and an outdated library and internet equipment and no ownership of media and subscription values.
All right. So that's like so Alan has basically given us the advantages and disadvantages of having Netflix as an OTT app on your mobile. What are the advantages you get by using Netflix and the disadvantages of having that? But having said that, like from as a teacher, I would definitely say to all of you, I know all of you are hooked up to Netflix with your different web series or even other OTT platforms. I won't just point out Netflix. But the thing is, at the end of the day, the takeaway is that it's a business model. They're looking at maximizing their profits, but it's definitely there here to stay. From the looks of it, it's going to be a real challenge for our theaters, our different channels to compete against Netflix and other OTT platforms in the future. And we're eagerly waiting to see what form our entertainment takes in the days to come or in the years to come. But having said that, maybe a word of caution I would like to leave with is don't get too addicted to these OTT platforms. All of them have, as Alan mentioned, their pros and their cons. But at the end of the day, you need to realize that it's your life. And maybe Netflix or the other OTT platforms are not your life. They're a part of it. They're something which gives you relaxation. It's something which maybe helps you think with different web series. So choose your time wisely. Use these OTT platforms for enhancing your skills, not just for just being a potato couch in the end. And maybe looking forward to all the listeners and to my six panelists here, who knows, you might be the one discovering the next streaming platform or the next mode of entertainment in the months and years to come. And that's what we require more from our students. So thank you so much for enlightening all of us here on Netflix. A special thanks to our panelists today, Ananth, Alan, Arjun, Thariq, Niharika, and Navamita, who are students of Class 9 from Devamatha CMI International School in Thrissur in Kerala, India. So thank you guys, and I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you with regards to these topics and all these different business platforms and how they affect our daily life. So thank you once again, and it's me, Joel, signing off from today's podcast, this week's podcast in None of Your Business. But at the end of the day, it's all our business. Thank you.